urgency dropped. I think our execution dropped. I would say that's what it was.
It's a couple times now where the lack of urgency has dropped. Welcome back to Habs Lunch. Campbell versus Gallo on TSN 690. And Martin St. Louis said that the team lacked juice in that game against the Minnesota Wild. And in that game against the Anaheim Ducks, they lacked urgency. So how does Martin St. Louis respond to this? Well, he sits a couple players. Notably, he sits Patrik Laine for the entirety of the third period with the exception of 30 seconds. And after Kirby Dach was on the ice for the game winner, what turned out to be the game winner, scored by Alex Killorn, Kirby Dach also stapled to the bench. Campbell will see how those players respond tomorrow in San Jose. But our question, and we'll get to the callers during Habs Your Say coming up just after 12:30, is the honeymoon period with Patrik Laine over?
Yeah, for Patrik Laine, only 12 shifts. You mentioned that one shift in the third period, 32 seconds long. That is it. 3 shifts in the third period for Kirby Dach, but none after that game-winning goal from Alex Killorn. But let's start with Patrik Laine. Is the honeymoon period over? Straight up, no, it's not over for Patrik Laine. However, is that the right time to send a message to one of your biggest stars that could change the game on a whim? How many times do we see superstars have subpar games, and then when you need them, they show up and they will produce the goal that you need? Even though he had only one shift and you didn't feel like he could help you, you're in a situation where you're battling for your playoff lives. At least a couple weeks ago, you were in a playoff spot. January 7th, January 22nd, only 2 days the Canadians were in a playoff spot. But now you've lost 4 games in a row. You want to stop that bleeding. I would have played Patrik Laine. How much does the message to bench Patrik Laine mean versus winning the game? Patrik Laine can play poorly for 58 and a half minutes. You get him out there with 90 seconds left, one shot, it's a tie game. Don't play him in overtime. But he's still a weapon at your disposal, and with your other options, it's not like you have another weapon like Patrik Laine out there. I don't know if Marty St. Louis, I understand you got to stay true to your beliefs and everything, but we're at the point for the Canadians winning matters. Yeah. And I felt that maybe even at the end of the game, Patrik Laine could have got out there. They put 2 shifts out there, 2 different lines, and he didn't get on either of them. That's a clear message to Patrik Laine, so I can't wait to see what he does in the next game against San Jose, because hopefully there's a fire that has been lit. But don't the 2 points matter? And don't you think out of, that situation, you sit him all period, you're like, all right, go. Maybe he's going to score a goal. Maybe he's going to be motivated. Maybe he's going to pout. I don't know, but I just feel that I would have taken the chance of sending Patrik Laine. The message has been sent at the end of the game to tie it up.
Well, this goes back to the game in Pittsburgh earlier this season when you got upset that Martin St. Louis said they could have won the game 5-4, but they're sticking true to their process and they want to play a certain way and they don't want to deviate from that. And I was talking about this quite a bit with the coach John Goyens yesterday during the Delmar postgame show. For me, it's really about the big picture, and it's about message sending. And if you are going to bench Patrik Laine, what message does it send to the entire group if you reward him at the end of the game with ice time? Even though, Campbell, I understand your point that he's a game breaker in one shot, we could be talking about a tie game. We are talking about...
See, but can I just hold you up there? The message has already been sent. And then he goes out on the ice, and let's put the 2 situations on. He doesn't score a goal, okay? But the message is still there. And who's he really punishing? He wasn't there on the first unit when Suzuki and all those guys Caulfield were out on the ice. And then he put his second unit when it's Dvorak, Gallagher with 37 seconds left. Like, sure. Who's really sitting? Pizzetta's already sitting there. You're playing 10 of your forwards anyways. Yeah. So it's not like you're harming anyone. Then if he does score, the message is still sent. Then you pull him aside and say, see, Patrik, this is why we need you. I can't do this for 2 shifts a period. You need to do that all the time. And then you could still send the message saying that I want to play you on a regular basis, and I put you down at the end, you scored us a goal. This is why we love you. This is why we need you. There's kind of a plus minus on either way if he gets out there.
But I guess what I'm trying to tell you, and I know where you're coming from. I'm trying to tell you that if you put Patrik Laine on the ice, then you don't have a Dvorak or Army on the ice, right? And those guys were playing really well in the game.
They're going to play. Those guys out of the 10 forwards that got on the ice in the last 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, they're going to play.
I think you're just rewarding the guys that you felt played well in the game or played better and showed something. And Patrik Laine wasn't showing you very much. That's all.
But who's gonna? Dvorak already scored a goal in the game. He wasn't going to score a second one. Let's just put it out there. You're here. The Canadiens. To me, it was clear indication from Marty St. Louis at this point, and it's the second time this year. You make a good point because that Pittsburgh game way earlier in the season, you said we could have won that game 5-4, but I chose not. Like, we chose to play our style, and we ended up, I think they lost that game 3-1. Yeah. We're not talking about the big 9-3.
No, earlier the Saturday night in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, so we're talking about that game where he said that, we could have won that game if we wanted to play a different style. This is a second indication from Marty St. Louis where the 2 points aren't the end game. But there's a line there, and there's a problem. And I understand. I went back on that 5-4, and I said I understand now, watching the way that the Canadiens played in December and January. But watching the way that the Canadiens played in December and January and getting them to that point, I don't know if February 2nd is the time to start sending messages to Patrik Laine as a whole and not getting the 2 points. The 2 points meant a lot last night.
I don't know if it's about message sending per se, in that it's more we play a certain way. And if you're going to be a passenger or you're going to deviate from the team game that we're trying to play, you're not going to play. And I don't think it has to be more complicated than that.
Yeah, but the 2 points matter. And to me, that indication meant that the message matters more than the 2 points. And to me, you could have done both.
Yeah, to me, it's
you could have done both.
It's more a philosophy and a mindset. We are going to play a certain way, and that's more important than winning and losing than it is trying to send a message and get through to line. I don't know how much this is about message sending than it is we play this way, and if you're going to be a passenger and you're not going to play the way we need you to play, you're not going to plate because everybody there's a trickle effect.
Sure.
Right? And things are contagious sometimes in a hockey team, and it almost feels as though Laine has maybe infected a little bit Kirby Dach as well. Campbell, I think the next step is to play Patrik Laine on a different line to try to get him going a little bit more here at 5 versus 5. I mean, Kirby Dach is really struggling again in the middle of the ice, and he's kind of been one of those players where when it goes well, the Canadiens have a better chance to win, but when it goes poorly, this is when it's hard for the Canadiens to have a balanced attack. I don't think it's about message sending. I just think it's about an overall philosophy that Martin St. Louis has on the group.
Yeah, but all I'm saying is, if it's message sending, the message was sent by only giving him one shift. So what? You give him a second shift with 90 seconds left. The message is still sent. Is it all forgotten? Is the message forgotten if Patrik Laine gets out there with 60 seconds left? Is it a motivated Laine or is it a disappointed Laine? One, you get to watch as a coach to see how he reacts to something like that. You've been sitting on the bench all day. I'm not happy with the way that you play. All right, go. So you get the second unit of the guys with 37 seconds left. Let's see what you do out there. Stands out there moping. Then you have a bigger issue to deal with. Goes out there and hustles. You're like, come on, Patrik. My message was sent. Like I think that there's an opportunity there to Dach.
Well, hold on. Just because I also think it comes to Martin St. Louis looking at that player and thinking, you know what, Campbell, maybe you're right that he would have done something in the final minute, but I think the coach just looks at it and says, you know what, he's not playing well tonight. He doesn't have it. He doesn't have it. So I feel even though on their best day, yes, Laine gives you a great chance to tie the game, but tonight, I don't see it. I don't see the pushback there. I don't think he's playing very well, and I feel as though Armia and Dvorak have a better chance at scoring than Laine does based on what I saw in the early portions of the game.
Okay, on the other side, if it's not message sending and it's just about the style of play that he wants and it's almost a message to the whole team, it doesn't matter what number you are or how much money you make, that's another story. But at the same time, I don't know if Marty St. Louis needs to tell that to the group. They already know that. And I think they saw what happened in December and January when they were playing like that. And they understand. Listen to the guys after the game. They understand why they're not winning. The execution is not there. Fatigue is starting to kick in. They have to start emptying that tank. They have 4 games before the 4 Nations, and they're both back-to-back. West Coast and then 2 afternoon games. They have to leave it all out in the line in these last 4 games if they want to get back into the mix. Because right now, it really felt, after having a 2-0 lead in Anaheim and then losing, that this season is absolutely spiraling out of control.
Yep.
And with Patrik Laine only playing 1 shift in the third period, it seems like desperate measures from the coach. I'm not saying that he's desperate or it's a last shot deal, but I'm saying from the outside, it feels a little desperate measures by benching because I'm going to send a message across the group. He's not going to play, even though it's a 3-2 hockey game. To me, I still think the Canadiens need to live in the moment, game by game. Don't take the Ducks for granted. Don't take the Sharks for granted. Go out there and get the 2 points every single time.